The reason why I invited Bernard to speak to you and for this interview is because all of us want to grow financially and spiritually. That's the goal of the club. We really want to grow in these two specific areas, and you cannot grow in those two specific areas without the foundation of your intellect.
To talk about thinking and giving and developing your intellect, I think it's all started when growing up I didn't have a direction in life.
Yeah.
As a very easy, fun-loving person, no direction, no vision, until God caught up on me and say, hey, you're too special to think zero.
Wow.
Or to have no direction. And then I got involved with the church.
Yes.
And then after that, God gave me a heart.
Wow.
Once again, boy. But later on, as I grew my Christian faith and I wanted to have more passion for God, more of this meaning and reason for living, I realized one of the things that I have to develop is not only you love God with all your heart, you don't only love God with all your soul, which is your passion and your emotion and your memory and your loving Him with feelings, but also the ability, your ability to think passionately, to think right, to think critically what's wrong and what's right. Because when God tells you this is right, this is wrong, what's the basis? You've got to have a basis why it is right and what's wrong. Everything God established is a law, as a principle, meaning it can stand on its own. And that, you cannot just say, oh, I love to do this, I love to do this. This I don't like. This you cannot choose, because God, in His infinite wisdom, has designated laws and principles. Now, to work with that, you've got to figure it out, and you've got to use your mind to do that.
So, Bernard, you're saying, you know, this is the greatest commandment. Love God with all your heart. Love God with all your soul. Love God with all your mind. And you've discovered, how can I love God with all my mind? You know, and that's been a quest for you.
Yeah. Lately, it's been a desire to grow as a leader. You cannot, they say you cannot lead without thinking great.
Okay.
You cannot lead people and people following you if you're just all heart.
Right. That's true.
I realize when you grow, people will also follow your thoughts. What you say, are you thinking right? Are you thinking good? Are you thinking critically? Are you thinking positively?
Yes.
So I said, this thing, help me. Lord, I need help on this. Until I bumped into a friend, and he said, why don't you go with me? We'll go to a training. And he said, there is no thinking without memory and connection.
Okay, I love that. I love that quote. One more time, please.
There is no thinking without memory and connection.
Without memory and connection. That's
See,
great.
when we're discussing right now, it make the reason for me to draw ideas.
Yeah.
I have to dig from my experience. I have to dig from my past. I have to dig just what I just said.
Yes.
And I have to connect it.
Okay.
I was watching a video clip of a guy who has an amnesia.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that that guy was saying to his wife at that time, honey, this is your coffee. And he said, no, 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 no. This is your second coffee. This is not my second coffee. This is my first coffee. and it was so amazing that when you lose memory, that's how tragic it will be. There will be no train of thought.
And there will be no conversation.
There's no conversation.
No sensible conversation.
No sensible conversation. So after that, I started pondering on that statement that he said, without memory, without connection, there is no thinking. I realized, that is so true. Because everything that we have right now, even in the Bible, was written and came about because of men who told stories of what they remembered.
That's right.
Actually, God is very big on memory. God is so big and huge on memory that He said to His people, remember.
That's right.
Get stones. These are the stuff that you'll pass on to heritage. To
the Ten Commandments.
The Ten Commandments.
That's right.
The Ten Commandments is actually a memory. The art is a box of memory.
Wow.
And these things are the ones we pass on, and we stand today having had this great stuff of the past.
Bernard, let me bring this down to earth, because people who are watching us, they're going to say, hey, it's fascinating, but I'm getting lost here. What does that have to do with my life? And okay, if you've got a great, you and I were talking a while ago over dinner that a great speaker has great memory.
Yeah.
And a communicator must have a great memory.
Correct.
And if people want to succeed in their jobs, if people want to succeed in their businesses, if people want to succeed, they've got to have great memory.
Of course.
Am I right?
Correct. Because a challenge or a seasoned speaker, you will know, because all of the things he has to say is already previewed.
Yes.
He's just picking what is applicable with the kind of audience he has.
That's right.
A challenge speaker, a beginner, will always have to get notes.
Okay.
Use notes.
Okay.
Because he has to rely on crutch. He has to rely on short-term memory. The short-term memory is actually developed.
Yeah.
It can be developed into becoming a better memory. At the beginning, pag bago ka pa, magsasalita ka, pautalutal ka kasi you think in bits and sounds, in bytes.
That's right.
And then when you become a great speaker, actually what you use actually is storytelling.
Absolutely.
And storytelling is basically part of your memory.
That's right.
So
Bernard, once again, just wanna take a more overarching perspective. To have a good mind, what do we need? A brilliant mind, a great mind, a mind that will bring us to success, and to whether it be in your family life, whether it be in your business or in your job. How do you have a great intellect, a great mind?
From what I know, there's only two spheres of mind or brain that you have. One is the left, which is more on the processing, the strategic side, the one that is detailed, the one that is methodic, the one that's logic, and the other one is the right side of the mind, which is the creative, the fluid, the imaginative. Boil it down into two. You only need a strategic mind and you have a creative mind. All great men of the past are strategic in nature, and the brilliant men who are successful in arts and sciences are the ones who are creative. So both of that, when you mix that, I'm not saying be good at one. They said the geniuses actually are the ones who can combine both left and right, which is whole brain thinking.
Wow. Whole brain thinking.
Yep.
Okay, guys, if you want to be a genius, if you want to be considered a genius, you've got to have both left and right, strategic and creative.
Now, in the seminars or the teachings that we do, we emphasize more on the right, because our orientation growing up has been on the left side.
Okay.
Schooling, education, but most of that actually developed our left side, but on the lower level thinking, which is just memorization. When we only
let me clarify this, Bernard. You're saying education has given us much of the strategic part.
Yes.
But there are levels in the strategic mind? Levels? You're saying that we just cover the lower one?
I studied that in Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy was saying the lowest level form of thinking is just the memorization.
Strategic thinking.
Strategic thinking.
Okay.
But they were saying that is the beginning.
Okay.
And one of the things that I wish our education system in the Philippines would grow from, not only memorizing and giving back to the teachers what they given back to them, but also analyze, understand, apply, and then create. The highest form of thinking is creativity.
Which is the right brain.
Which is the right brain.
Okay.
So you start with the left. You start with what is, the purpose, why.
Yeah.
And then you grow into later, what if?
What if?
Where can we go? Now the question now in this new millennia is not where we are or what have we achieved. The question always been, where will we be? That's always been the question in the industries.
I can just remember, when I was studying in school, it's always memorize this list. Read the story, and then the questions will be about the story, the character, where did this happen, what happened here, why did he do that, and all of that. So it's really more memorization. You're right. Whoever told you that thing is absolutely right. Just memorize.
Because during the time that they instituted regular school or the traditional school,
Yeah.
the thinking that they were operating on was the thinking of assembly line.
Assembly lines.
Remember the time, 1940s, what was hit was the Industrial Revolution.
Yes.
And people were thinking, we need more workers in the factory. So actually, they're training you to think like factory workers.
Okay.
You cannot answer back to your superior.
Yeah.
And so you do also with your teacher. You cannot say, teacher, this is wrong, or teacher, why? No.
Yeah.
You just have to eat what I gave you.
Wow.
But you realize now, when you go to schools now, it's totally different.
Right, that's
because people who have been open in their minds,
Yes.
they say, I don't want to be a factory worker.
Yeah.
I want my kids to learn how to become entrepreneurs.
Right.
Which means it's out of the box thing. You're questioning the very foundation
Wow.
or the givens,
Yeah.
if it's really the right givens and the assumptions.
Yeah.
And from there you create.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you're saying that the whole educational system came from that, training people, training students how to be factory workers. And you're saying now we need a new kind of education that will teach us how to not just memorize,
Yes.
but analyze,
Yes.
understand, apply, and create. Wow.
Creation is actually the biggest one. All over the world, there's a crisis on creativity.
Wow.
Because if there is a creativity that's unleashed in every one of us,
Yeah.
you'll never have poverty. You will have people already getting what they have, the natural gifting that they have.
Yeah.
What's our natural gifting? Not your resource, not money, not your body only, but also your thinking.
Wow.
If you're given a great mind, if
Yeah.
you're given yourself to think where you are, you can go from here to there, and
Yeah.
every day you keep on pushing that.
Yeah.
I don't think people will stay in the poverty line.
You know, I think about Singapore, for example. They don't have any natural resources compared to the Philippines. We've got mines, we've got oceans, we've got forests. Singapore, when I go there, my gosh, you've got this tiny little piece of property, and yet ideas made them rich.
What is sad, Bo, is every time I look at the newspaper,
Yeah.
every time I look at sports, every time I look at the internet,
Yeah.
I couldn't see the name Philippines.
Mm.
Rarely do I see them in ranks, in foreign exchange,
Yeah.
in choices sometimes, meaning we're way back, we're way behind the back. But what we can do is encourage everybody, not only to have a change of heart, not only to become passionate, but also start thinking different. I like the logo of Apple, where they started, this company started in 1970s.
Yeah.
And actually, they were slanted on one motto,
Which is
think different,
think different.
don't copy.
Don't copy.
Now they're in the forefronts. Everything that, not everything, but most teenagers now would love to get an Apple computer or an Apple product. Before, it's never unheard of.
That's right.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
But they changed the rules.
Yeah.
They started to create something that they said, this is one of Steve Jobs' favorite quote, the market doesn't know what it wants. So you got to give it to them.
Okay, entrepreneurs, you heard that. That's from Steve Jobs, the great billionaire, creative thinker, whatever you call him. This fantastic guy. The market does not know what it wants. Yeah.
He is actually one of those who personify creativity.
Oh, yeah.
He lives it. He doesn't only work from what is. He always thinks what could be.
Yeah. I love it when Steve Jobs, you know, presents a new product with his black turtleneck and everything's just totally empty in his background, and just comes out with an iPod, comes out with a Nano, comes out with a Mac, you know, just fantastic guy. And he comes out with stuff that, you know, hey, why didn't anyone think of that? You know, the style, the presentation, that's creativity.
It's a discipline, actually. I think his team, just like Google.
Yeah.
I mean, Google is a discipline.
Same thing.
Same thing. They're creating something that it's not yet.
Yeah.
Meaning, the strategic mind would let you live for the present.
Oh.
The creative mind would dream of what could be
The future.
the future.
Bernard, how? Okay, there's somebody watching us, listening to us right now. He's saying, hey, that's great. How in the world can I develop my creativity? Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm good in memorization, maybe, okay, but how?
One of the things that they say, the brilliant minds say, is have a mind that solves a problem a day. One problem a day. Just an extra. If there's an apple a day, keeps a doctor away. There is a problem a day that keeps boredom a day.
All right.
Because boredom actually is the enemy of creativity.
Okay.
When you're bored, you're not creative.
And that's why kids, when kids are not listening to the teacher or not performing well, it's not because they're dumb.
No.
It's just they're bored.
Bored.
Okay.
That's another thing I really want to. I am passionate in teaching. I love teaching. I love kids who are homeschooling. One of the things they say about teachers is that you don't give information in as much as you give them the environment for them to think and create.
Wow.
Because if you can do that, the children can actually teach you more.
A love for learning.
A love for learning.
A love for learning. Bernard, you know, you're homeschooling your 3 kids. I'm homeschooling, and that's another thing, and it's really a passion. Homeschooling, aside from everything else, you know, a love for family, a love for kids. It's also a love for a different kind of learning, and passing it on to your kids. That's amazing.
That's something that I'd like to leave as a legacy. The reason why I'm thankful to God for Him opening up this love for learning, because it comes from Him.
Yeah.
God gives you the desire. In as much as God gives appetite, He also gives you the desire and hunger to learn. I mean, given to ourselves, we'll just sit down and do nothing. But God gives us vision. He gives us burning purpose. He gives us desire. And He also opens our mind.
You know, I got this from you, Bernard. One time you were telling me, Ivy, your wife, was talking about this, that, you know, sometimes you would not open a textbook with your kids and say, anatomy, read chapter 4, page 7 to 19, you know, and then you don't do that. You don't, you know, okay, turn the next page. This is what the book is saying. You don't do it. You just say, Gabriela, anatomy. Google it. And give me a report, you know, in 2 hours or something like that. And so the whole world is open to her. So you don't give information, you actually give her what you said, an environment of learning.
An environment learning. We are so blessed to live in an era of information access. At one click of a finger, typing at the right combination of letters, you can arrive in a world of information.
That's right.
For example, during our days, when you say periodic table, what comes out? Boron, cadmium, potassium, atomic weight, atomic mass. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't sound a bell. What is it? I mean, I just memorized. The teacher told me, give it back to her through test. But you know what? It's so amazing. Educational is different. When I tell my children periodic table, they go specifically to an element. For example, boron. Click boron. They'll figure out where boron can be found, what boron is, where you use boron, what brands of boron you have.
With pictures and
with animation. Interesting, you know what I learned lately? The Panama Canal. The Panama Canal is a fascination for me, because they say that's a link between the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. I never figured that until I Googled Panama Canal. And at the press of the button return,
that's it.
I figured that is the link, because it was man-made. People created that so that they don't have to travel from Atlantic down to the Latin American until you go to the east, our side, Pacific Ocean. They have to cut through Panama. And I did that because I'm challenging every parent out there. Do not deprive your children of this information. Of course, we have parameters. Before I have given my children the access to the internet,
that's right.
obedience has been set up,
Yeah.
rules has been set
That's
up,
right. That's right.
and conscience has been there. It's being trained.
Yeah.
They know what's wrong, they know what's right,
Yeah.
and I have a trigger. I know how to spot check them. But I don't see right now myself going back
Oh yeah.
to books and worksheets that
Yes.
they do have, don't get me wrong, but for them to
goes
learn,
beyond that.
it goes beyond that, just learning on paper and mimeograph.
Yeah.
I think education now internet has given education a new meaning.
Oh yes.
So go out there and try to incorporate that
Yeah.
as a supplement for your
That's right.
education.
So number one, you say solve one problem a day.
Solve one problem a day. Another one is,
Number two,
they said, this scientifically proven, juggle.
juggle.
Juggling. I don't know. There's something about juggling. They said that it increases your gray matter. One is, it's a combination. It's like playing drums. I asked Tony Buzan, what's the greatest mind
Yeah.
in the world?
Okay.
He made mention of two fields:
Uh-huh.
engineers and musicians.
Wow, musicians
And
equal
musicians.
to side by side with engineers.
And,
So musicians develop the right brain and
and left brain.
and the left.
You cannot,
oh, yeah,
you
alright,
cannot
you're
have
right,
music
you're right.
without lines.
Okay.
You cannot have music without time.
Okay, music, everybody develops your mind, creativity. Fantastic. Number
And then
three.
number three maybe is having a discipline to just go through a word problem,
Yeah.
crossword puzzle,
Crossword puzzles. Okay.
Sudoku,
Wow.
riddles.
Okay.
Because this one stretches your... I know it's tiring.
Yeah.
I mean, when we go into these exercises,
Yeah.
we're more hungry.
Yeah. Okay.
We want to eat a lot because, I don't know, the brain
Yeah.
gets more energy
Okay.
than the physical exercise for me.
That's good. That's logical. You know, when I see old people doing their crossword puzzles, sharpen their minds, and great.
Yeah.
Number four,
Number four, mentor.
mentor.
Mentor. Have a Socratic mind, meaning always ask questions.
Always.
It's easy to say your opinion. I like this saying my friend told me, opinions are like armpits. Everybody has them and a lot of them stink. If you go and ask and you go with people and mingle,
Yeah.
be ready with your question.
Okay.
You're going to learn more by asking than saying out and blurting your opinion.
Oh, beautiful.
I think that's for me. Right? Maybe four disciplines that you can
Yeah.
use. Problem a day.
Yeah.
Number two, juggle.
Juggle.
Number three, crossword puzzles,
Yeah.
riddles. And
Yeah.
number four, be an inquirer. Ask questions.
That's beautiful. And I love asking questions. I love looking for mentors for different areas of my life. The more, the better.
Yeah.
You know, their experience. Sometimes you already know what the mentor's gonna say, and maybe maybe you've read it a number of times or you even told someone about it. But when you hear it again,
Yes.
it's a fresh revelation. It's like, wow, yeah, I forgot about that, and then suddenly it wakes you up and you
Great.
moves you to action.
And sometimes it's not just the answer that these people give, in as much as how they say it. The humility of those people, the way they say it,
Wow.
that inspires me.
Yeah.
Because they say the more knowledge you have, the more you puff up.
Oh.
But you'll know a person who's seasoned and who's really intelligent
Right.
when he knows you've got to learn a whole lot more.
Wow.
And that for me is inspiring because it's easy to blurt out or say
Yeah.
fast what we know.
Yeah.
But you know the wise people.
Yeah.
They're always silent. They're always looking for ways to empower people. They don't want to be heard. They don't want to be in the limelight. It's actually an attitude as well.
Questions. Learn to ask questions. Learn to have mentors. You know, we can just keep on talking and talking, Bernard, about thinking and developing our minds. And I hope you're appreciating this. You're absorbing this. You've got to develop your mind if you want to develop your life. And when you change your mind, you're gonna change. When you change your thoughts, that's when you change your life. and we hope we're passing this to you. I want to move into another topic that's close to our hearts, to Bernard's heart, and that is giving. Because we're talking about financial growth here. We're talking about how to grow financially and spiritually.
Yeah.
And what connects both is the ability to give. If a person does not give, what's your take on that, Bernard?
I remember my pastor told me one time, he said, Bernard, there are 3 areas in life you can't make a mistake. Number 1, he said, be thankful. Whatever situation, be thankful, be contented. Number 2, be humble. Accept it.
Yes.
Number 3, be generous. Be a giver. And I said, really? You'll never go wrong with giving? How come, when you give to people, they say in the streets, they
might exploit you.
Exploit you, abuse you. He said, you'll never know. You'll never know who you're giving to.
Yeah.
The Bible tells us sometimes you give as a lifestyle because you'll never know if it's an angel one day you're going to give to. And Jesus said, if you do this to the least, you've done it to me. And that has been a motivation for us. Yeah. And that's the very reason why we live. We exist to actually give.
Yeah.
We were born to give.
Wow.
We were born actually to create and then to give out.
Remember, Bernard, to connect this to what we just talked about for the past 30 or so minutes, is that when I have this knowledge, when I pass my knowledge to someone, I don't lose the knowledge.
Yeah.
I actually grow in my knowledge because I grasp it more. I want to say this to you, that I've been preaching for the past 29 years. And people, after preaching, people come up to me, the audience, and they say, wow, thank you, Bo, I learned a lot. And I was so blessed. And at the back of my mind, I want to tell them, that's what you think. I was blessed twice because I shared my knowledge.
Correct.
And I grew in my knowledge.
Correct.
But it's almost like giving money.
Yeah.
But in a very mysterious way.
Yes.
Your experience, my experience is that when we give money, when we give our finances, when we give our resources, somewhere, somehow, God has a way of making it come back to us.
You know what's interesting about money is Jesus talked about more about money than he talked about heaven or hell. Wow. There are more verses that talks about money than he would talk about heaven and hell.
Amazing.
And that gives you an idea how important that lesson is for us.
Yeah. Because it affects money is a daily thing. It affects.
It's you. It's part of you. It's your produce.
Yeah.
Now we call it money, but before, in the olden days, it's produce. In the olden times, when they call you rich or wealthy, you don't have money before. Okay. What you have is, when you're called wealthy, number 1, you have family.
Okay, great.
Baliktad eh. Now we have property or cash.
Yes.
Before, different. When you're rich, you have lots of kids.
Okay.
Number 2, when you're rich, you have lots of servants.
Wow.
When you're rich, you have lots of land and property. And then you have possessions.
Amazing.
In our day now, it's reverse.
Right.
You call a lot of wealthy people because they have a lot of possession. Yet their families are famished.
Yeah.
A lot of them are broken homes, separated, kids in drugs, kids in adultery, can't be found.
That's right.
That is no wealth.
Not.
True wealth is when you have family in order, people follow you because you have servants, you have land, you have something to give to your generation later, and then you have goods and things that will help you out.
That is so good. Interesting. Wonderful.
Now, it's not enough to just have it.
Yeah.
You can bring it to the next life.
Yes.
Somebody said, why keep it if you can send it? And the only way, this mysterious way of all these things going into eternity is through the process of giving.
Wow.
When you give to people, somewhere in there, God translates those possessions, those material stuff, they become eternal treasures.
That's amazing.
In the book of Revelation, it tells us about the crown of life.
Yeah.
When you give away to people your time, when you give property, when you give yourself, you get crown of life, crown of righteousness, crown of joy.
Yeah.
And these are going to be later on your motivation.
Yeah.
Because for us, I remember one time my teacher told me in economics, Sabi niya, economics is
The definition?
the definition is the distribution of wealth coming from scarce resources.
Scarce resources, that's right.
So if you operate on economics of this world, mahirap magbigay, bro. It's so hard to give. If you operate on man's economics or human mind.
That's right, because it's like it's limited. It's so, you know, my money is limited. My salary is only so much, you know, and why am I going to give?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Because you have not factored in the God factor. God factor is telling you, you give, it will be given back. Now, the multiplying factor that God gives to you is a whole lot more than what you can give. And I've started giving since I was age of 17.
Wow.
Started tithing, started giving.
Yes.
You know what? I've never seen my life, in my life, never God has forsaken me. Financially, my kids has never missed a meal.
Wow.
Never missed a rent.
Yeah.
One day we're planning to have our own house. We want to buy one day, but it doesn't bother me. I mean, I would dream for my kids to have that, but it's not a priority for me now.
Yeah.
In as much as I want to keep my kids,
Yeah.
I want to have leadership.
Yeah.
Then later on, land papasok.
Yeah.
Magiging wealthy na rin tayo. So
fantastic, brother. Wonderful. That's amazing. Many people think, you were sharing this a while ago, many people think that they have this small pizza.
Yeah.
And with slices, 8 slices. So if I give 1 slice to someone, I lose that slice.
Yes.
And it's like a scarcity economics, you know, where oh, he's putting up the same business as I'm putting up, and the business same, it's the same. We're gonna compete, and that guy's doing the same thing I'm doing. He's selling the same product. My gosh, you know, and so we fight and we compete when in fact there is abundance.
Abundance. And actually, the world is realizing that.
Yeah.
You go into the internet,
yeah.
The people who are asking for payments doesn't get following. It's those who give out for free that gets more following the social networks.
True.
See, even them, they're realizing that.
Yeah.
In the business, they realize that it's customer service. It's giving.
That's right.
It is giving. It's the lifestyle of giving that actually you get leadership.
That's beautiful.
And they listen to you, and later on, they all the more they patronize your company and your product. So giving actually is not just a formula.
Yeah.
It is actually a lifestyle God wants us to have because He wants us to have an abundant life.
Absolutely. You know, I just look back on my life, Bernard. I've been, as I said, preaching for 29 years. And I think I started speaking at the age of 13.
Wow.
All the way until I was 30 years old, it was all for free. I mean, until now it's for free, for religious purposes like churches and so on. But you know, from age 13 to age 30, I was going to different provinces. I would travel by bus for 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours. I'd do it for free. I just speak in church, speak in prayer meetings. And but then at the age of 30, when I decided I was going to get married, and when companies would ask me to give a talk, I later learned that they wanted to pay me. Wow. So I said, okay, I'm going to charge you an arm and a leg. Yeah. And what I'm saying is, I was giving.
Yeah.
I was giving the first part. I was just giving.
And that's why you're so blessed. A lot of people, when they hear Bo Sanchez, I mean, they want to copy you. They want to imitate you. They know you're a giver. They know you have that lifestyle. You don't have to flaunt it. They just see it. And I think that's why, I mean, I'm inspired. Every time I hear about you, what you're doing, I say, man, that guy's a giver. That guy's a leader.
Thank you.
So if you're going to be a leader, one thing I realized, you've got to be a great giver. A great thinker, a great giver.
Amen.
Great servant. You are that.
Thanks, bro. So there you have it, brothers and sisters, my dear friends. I hope you learned, and I want you to start applying what you just learned. Develop your mind and also start giving as much as you can, and you will indeed be very blessed. I'll see you again.